Hello, Teresa Gutierrez here, owner and founder of 11th Hour Shaman. I had a dream on March 10th that was very short, but the topic, the symbolism, the topic is just immense. It is something we could literally talk about for the rest of our lives, for hours and hours. And I don't want this video to be that long, but basically, the dream was about mistaken identity and the perils of it. What true awful traumas can happen when we're just walking around with a mistaken identity. And what's interesting in my perspective is that's what we're all doing. You know, we'll talk about the dream. So in the dream, I'm a witness. I'm watching this scene play out before me on a busy nighttime lit up Las Vegas street, like the strip or whatever. Um, and I see CSI Nick Stokes from the TV show CSI. I see him, he's undercover and he's dressed up as this particular specific bad guy. I don't know who it is, but in the dream, everybody knows who that guy is, right? And that's who Nick is dressed up as. And he looks just like the bad guy. And then I see coming over this black SUV and this other big wig, like well-known, notorious, nefarious, really bad guy who wants to kill the bad guy that Nick is dressed up as. So then I'm thinking as the witness, oh no, Nick is gonna get killed over a mistaken identity. And Nick is like a total sweetie. Like nobody would want this to happen to him. He's such a good guy, but he's dressed up as a bad guy. And so the SUV big guy gets out, he shoots Nick through the chest, like several rounds go through the chest. I see his white t-shirt turn red with blood, and I just can, this is the thought in my head is, ugh, Nick has been killed over a mistaken identity. And it's so tragic and it's heartbreaking. And I wake up and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, how many of us have been walking around with a mistaken identity, how we identify with ourselves, how many people in the world actually do get shot over a mistaken identity. And I mean symbolically, because one of the things I like to do is I read A Course in Miracles. And in many ways, the whole book is about helping us to see, feel, and know our true identity as divine, to be able to see ourselves and experience ourselves as this divine, loving presence that is always connected with Source. And yet we all walk around feeling very separated and very different and not connected to each other. But the truth is that we are all connected to each other and we all are filled in these bodies with a divine soul that is forever connected to Source and cannot ever be separated. And so then when we're walking around with a mistaken identity, the way I see it is we don't even see ourselves clearly. And this is why so many of us think such horrible thoughts about ourselves and see ourselves as less than or not good enough or broken in some way. And when we feel that way about ourselves because we're not understanding who we really are, we just haven't been able to see ourselves the way our angels always see us, which is pure and innocent then that affects everything we do and everything and every person that we interact with. When you come into a conversation with somebody thinking that you're less than them or just less than the general population, right? Broken and not good enough and really struggling with that deep sense of peace that you're okay, that's going to affect a conversation, a relationship, and the direction everything goes. It's going to affect your choices, your decisions about what you're capable of, what kind of dreams you can make true in your life, what kind of purpose you can serve, what kind of contribution you can make to the world. And it will stop you and slow you down if you don't consistently come into contact with what's always, always, always there, which is your true nature, your true soul self, connected to source and God's source. And one of the things I noticed is I had this dream just a few hours before one of my loved ones, before I found out. This is when, okay. So I had the dream a few hours before I found out that one of my loved ones had purchased a gun. And again, all of this, intensity, this belief that we need to cause harm, maybe not we, but others sometimes really believe they need to cause harm. It's because of mistaken identities. All of their mistaken identity, they mistake our identities because everything seems disconnected. And it was a very interesting series of events, but I feel like spirit always knows what's going on with us and what medicine we need to help us. And I'm talking about dream medicine, herbal medicine, energy work medicine, friendship, connection, that kind of medicine. And I feel like this dream was a beautiful way to support my perception of my loved one through this event, is all I could say. And it helps me to hold love in my heart over other feelings that might be there. And it opens up my being to more intuition and intuitive guidance and action versus when I am mistaking my identity and mistaking their identity and all the tragic things that can happen when we do that. It's like the egos are butting into each other in horrible ways, some worse than others. But when, we come with love, we can really connect. So I would say divine source perception is connection, and egos, tend to cause harm and cause separation or a feeling of separation. But one of the things I notice as a shamanic practitioner is I have clients who are actually physically sick, and the message, that might come through for them, for example, recently, is that this client is innocent and she's a mother. And I notice that most mothers at some point experience this thing that we call mom guilt or mother guilt. And, it's just this concept of I'm not enough. So whether you're a mother or not, it really doesn't matter. We all experience this feeling of having made mistakes, having regrets, feeling like we weren't good enough, and therefore what we're facing now is all our fault. So it's this horrible experience of guilt and shame. And yet the message I feel in the session is like so much love, and I'm like bawling. And there's just so much love flowing through for this person, and it's divine love. So whether I've ever met them before or not, I can feel this incredible healing energy that is 100% loving, compassionate, kind. That energy is there to bless and hold someone and fill them with God light. And the message that came through for this person, and it's been coming through, is this need for them to know their worth and know that they're innocent. And any pocket of guilt or shame they've been carrying for any amount of time, it is not serving them. It's actually making them sick. And what I mean is a physical illness, but of course that affects other areas of life because it affects all of our decisions when we innately think, we're not worthy and we're not good and we're all that. But, what I can see in these interactions is sometimes people are open to feeling it. They're open to feeling the truth of their innocence. And some people, I see their body jerk and reject the very concept that they could possibly be innocent because they're hanging on very tightly to their perception of guilt, of mistakes, of just not doing it right and not doing it good enough. And now here we are, and it's this horrible place that they think they are. And it isn't always necessarily true. In fact, I would say divine perception sees where we are as the perfect place, because every place is an opportunity to open our heart and our minds to the highest possible perception, and that is receiving love. And when we receive that divine love, our identity shifts into the correct place of we're lovable. And there is a reason for that, a divine reason that we're always lovable and innocent. And when somebody chooses to reject their innocence, it means they're actually choosing to hang on to their disharmony. They're creating an inner conflict in their own body, and that can create a lot of different health problems. It just depends on how your genetics are, where your weak links are, and where it might go, what your thought patterns are that leads all of that inner conflict and disharmony and stress hormones to affect different body parts and systems. And so then we may end up sick. But the truth is that we can heal anything we want to. And we're not doing this alone. We can always invoke spirit and declare our innocence, own it, because it is true. And we can keep doing I say work, but keep putting in the energy, keep putting in the time and the energy and the presence to meditate, to pray, and to really connect to the divine that lives in our hearts, the divine that lives in our very core, and let that fill us with light and illumination of the truth, of our true identity. Because I cannot tell you how many times I have felt angels and spirits, positive, compassionate, helping spirits, come to support, whether it's me personally or my kids or my clients. And it's like, unless somebody is awakened or illuminated permanently, like enlightened beings, which I am not, I have moments of clarity, right? But they don't last forever, or they haven't yet. And that's okay too, right? We're all here just doing the best that we can, and it is good enough. So what I would like to say then is all of these experiences with the divine, they get me thinking, like really thinking, because who am I? Just me. I'm just a mom, a grandma, you know. I'm just a person that's had a very traumatic childhood and a rough middle. And lots of good things happen too, lots of miracles. I'm just a normal human being. I think that's normal. Tragic childhood or different traumas along the way, an interesting middle with maybe more traumas, but also lots of good all along the way. This is a normal human life, right? We get at least 50-50. But I'm nobody extraordinary beyond another human being. I'm just like you. And we all have access to spirit, to the divine. And we're deeply, unconditionally loved always. So, what do they know about us that we don't know? What do they know about who we really are that we don't quite understand? We might even be able to understand it cognitively, reading A Course in Miracles or some other divine source, right? We can understand things cognitively. These are English words. I know what they mean. I'm divine. I am one with God and source, and angels are with me right now. They were just with me downstairs giving a healing session. Like, I get it, but it's a matter of getting it from the mind into the heart and through the body on a regular, consistent basis. That's the practice. And remembering clearly they must know something that we don't always quite get. And I believe it has 100% to do with our identities. As long as we don't know who we are and we're walking around with these mistaken identities, we just might experience some big old bumps in the road that feel like big old bumps in the road. I think some people that probably experience enlightenment, maybe the bumps in the road don't trigger them or bring stuff up for them. But for us, as long as they do, as long as we're triggered, as long as we feel like it's, blowing dust in our face or poop in the fan, it's okay. It's just a moment that is an opportunity for us to say, maybe I'm not seeing this correctly. Maybe there's a higher perspective here. And maybe I'm not thinking of myself or others involved through clear identity. Maybe I'm not understanding who I really am in the face of this challenge, this diagnosis, or this relationship, or this financial situation. Maybe there's something about my identity that I am meant to understand now at a deeper level and reach a higher consciousness than I've ever reached before. Now, we may have to go through the grief first, for sure. That's my experience. Maybe other people have a different experience, but for me specifically, when it comes to identity and healing moments, there was something, back in 2010, I really wanted to clear up. And I've shared this in my books. And what was happening for me is I had a series of dreams, and they were like a repetitive dream, and I didn't know where it was going. But one day it finished. And it turned out that I was holding my mom like a sack of groceries around my abdomen. And the groceries turned into her, and she had died in 1989. I was 15. So this happened in 2010. And I knew in the dream that I needed to put her down. And I was filled in the dream. I felt just terror and grief. And it felt like if I put her down, she would leave me and never come back. And so that's where I ended the dream. And I had not put her down yet. So when I woke up, I knew, oh, maybe this is why I have adrenal exhaustion. You know, maybe carrying somebody around for 21 years could exhaust someone. So I knew that I needed some energy work, and the intention would be to put her down and see what happens after that. And so I booked my session and it was beautiful. I had all these grief emotions come out, no memories, no pictures, just waves of emotion releasing. And the practitioner was able to just hold that and let me be in my feelings instead of trying to make me think words. It was very helpful. And then I went home, and at some point I felt another wave coming on. So I told the kiddos, I need to be alone. You're very likely going to hear me cry. I'm totally fine. I just need to pray. So I'm going to lock the door. You guys take care of yourselves. They were old enough to do so by then. I think 13 and younger. So, um, so in that, when I prayed, what I saw immediately closing my eyes was God and my mom. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I was filled with anger, just so much rage and anger and upset that my mom had died. So I was mad at her for dying, but I didn't know this for 21 years. So this is how long somebody can hold on to a feeling and have no idea. I knew I was grief, like I know grief, but I didn't know from age 15 to however old I was in 2010. It was the middle of 2010. I didn't know I was angry. I personally think that's funny. I think humans are actually really quite funny. And if you can't laugh at yourself, then obviously there's some healing work to do. And I laugh at myself all the time. That doesn't mean I don't cry and have a breakdown first. So it's all okay. We're just humans doing the best that we can. So here's God and here's my mom, and I asked God to put her in a protective bubble because I wanted to let it all out. And I did, and it happened, and I let it all out, and it took a really long time, but I said everything I needed to say. I felt everything, I cried everything, I let it all out. And I felt so much better. And just when I thought I was done, here comes on this side, and I'm just praying, and on this side of in my mind, here's still God and my mom. Jesus walks up. Now, keep in mind, somebody I loved died 5 years previous, and for some reason, I blamed it all on him. And again, humans are not always logical. I'm not religious, but I have a beautiful relationship with him now because of this. So when I saw him, I again felt very angry. I didn't know that I had felt that angry for that long. But my response in seeing Jesus was, what are you doing here? Oh my gosh. It was so rude. And yet he was unfazed, completely loving. He stretched his arms out wide as they could be. And he said, I'm only here to love you. And I could feel that was true. 100% loving, 100% accepting of me as I am, whether I was angry or grief-filled or horrible or goofy and fine. I could feel in that moment that there was never a single thing or moment that would make him not love me. He said he was only here to love me. And then in this experience, I felt him hold me. And then at least 3 feet around my body, I felt this thick, warm energy, like loving me from every direction. but in my mind, I saw and felt him holding me. So it was like this dual experience of my physical body having an experience and my mind um, being healed with love. And so I just let that happen for a long time. And then I was completely filled, my whole body was completely filled with energy, energy for life, energy for moving. I was filled with joy. I was filled, energy is the best word, but it was love and joy and energy. Like I could move, I could think, and I had adrenal exhaustion before this. So, um, it's such a stark difference. My blood work, my doctor said your numbers at this time of day in the morning when I had my blood drawn are supposed to be between 18 and 22, and yours is at a 6. That's not a lot of numbers away from Addison's disease, but I don't have Addison's. But anyway, and so that healing experience has forever changed how I perceive myself. Now, I'm not always able to maintain that. I have to always bring myself back to that experience and remember that and continue to build that relationship with the divine. But that healed me, and I don't have adrenal exhaustion anymore. And anyway, the things a shift in identity can do in these healing moments, these transformative spiritual experiences. I think they call them STEs instead of an NDE. So instead of a near-death experience, it's a spiritually transformative event. Yeah. So it really is about coming to revisit our true identity over and over and over and over again until we really get it, until we really let it shift how we feel every day, all day, and how we experience our bodies, experience our lives, and experience others. A mistaken identity can create nothing but perils, but our true identity as one with source and never separated, as innocent, as pure. Another one of my clients, what came out for her was that your angels always see you as pure. And that really hit her in a good way. She was able to take that in and really receive that. It was really what she needed to hear. And it's true. Your angels are always with you. They're always loving you. They're always guiding you. And when you allow yourself to believe that's true about you, it will change how you see yourself, but it'll also change the decisions you make to care for yourself, and it'll change the chemicals going through your blood so that it creates health and harmony, and it will create an energy field around your body that creates, it magnetizes love and peace, freedom, joy. All of those things get bigger and bigger, and your energy field will heal and get no more weak points, and your body will continue to heal and get stronger and healthier, and what Dr. Joe calls coherent. When we create our heart-brain coherence, the body heals, and we open ourselves to miracles that way. In A Course in Miracles, they talk about having or let miracles replace all grievances. So we hold grievances against ourselves because we mistake our own identity. We hold grievances against other people because they're in a mistaken identity. They very likely don't know their own true identity, and therefore it's harder for you to see their true identity. But it's even harder when you are mistaking your own identity. So it's like layers upon layers. And the way we view the world and what's happening, if we don't understand true identity, it all becomes so much more painful. And I believe we can truly shift all of this when we allow miracles to replace all grievances. That sounds like the best idea, right? That's a great prayer. Let all miracles replace all grievances. That sounds perfect. Okay. Well, anyhow, I didn't take any notes, so I hope this made sense. I hope that you choose to own your true divine identity and feel that loving connection with Source that is always there for you to feel. And if you want or need energy work or shamanic work, whether we're working on your dreams, your energy bodies through body work and energy work, I do long distance and remote, or those are the same thing. And I also do in-person sessions. I live in Arizona. So whatever you feel called to do to support your healing on any level, please feel free to reach out to me. You can email me, Teresa at 11thhourshaman.com. That's THERESA at 11thhourshaman.com. It'll be in the details below. But have a beautiful day. Enjoy the dream medicine of a beautiful, divine, soulful identity. Bye.